What was a perfectly normal situation for you in the 80s 90s that the younger generation just can't relate to? Sitting by the radio waiting for your favorite new song to come on so you could record it onto a cassette tape and hoping the jacket DJ didn't talk over the first 45 seconds. Spoiler alert, he always did. What worked for me was recording later at night. The DJ was less likely to talk over the intro compared to the daytime or afternoon. Unless it was Tim Westwood. He'd never shut up through the whole song and had a soundboard which he used to its fullest extent. It was the audio equivalent of having a mental breakdown. Someone calling the landline and disconnecting the internet. Being deafened by the sound of the internet. Don't pick up the phone. My Blink 182 song only has 1.5 more hours to download. LimeWire gave me some FK'd up versions of songs I still have to this day. Several of the songs I downloaded back in the day had some distortion or sounds for a second somewhere in the song, and still to this day, when I listen to those songs I automatically expect to hear said distortion in the song. Wondering who invented the hot dog, and being unable to find out. My mom always said, well, it must have been Mr. Hot Dog, or whatever. Same joke every time. Lol, that's one of my favorite jokes to make. I take it a step further and change the surname to another object. Like John C. Tennis Ball, the inventor of the basketball. My personal favorite is that the diesel engine is the only engine to be named after its creator, Rudolph Engine. Having arguments about factual information and having absolutely no way of determining who is correct. That's actually why the Guinness Book of World Records exists. The managing director of the Guinness Brewery noticed people in pubs were arguing about who was the most this or that. So he decided to compile them all into a book so pubs could have it on hand for reference. This sounds like a fun movie to write and direct. That's the second best idea anyone in the Guinness family has ever had. They have a 9,000 year lease on their brewing estate in central Dublin. It's practically free real estate. Are you saying that the Guinness Book of World Records doesn't hold the record for being the best Guinness idea in the world? I was thinking the other day about how I applied for out-of-state college, 1989. How did I even do that? Did I write to them and ask for an application? Then fill it out and mail it back? When I applied to graduate school, 1993, how did I even know which schools had my program? Did I go to the library or something? Sitting here in 2020 imagining doing those things with no internet. It seems impossible. But since I don't even remember how I accomplished it, it must have been pretty mundane at the time. Sounds like a ref-king holler, if you ask me. I remember having to go register for class in person. You'd get a random appointment time and go to college to see a registration person. You hope you were lucky enough that all the courses you needed to take weren't full yet. If they were, you'd need to find another course on the spot, changing your whole schedule and life. Or using the telephone version of registration later. Getting up at 5 AM on first day of phone registration to keep dialing until you got through, and having the course numbers pre-written on a notepad, along with alternates, ready to go, and making damn sure you got it right before hanging up. Open registration was useless, because it was all SCRPS by then. TBF, I used to set my alarm for 6 AM, when the online registration opened up too. Going to a restaurant and being asked, would you like to sit in smoking or non-smoking? There were smoking sections on airplanes. I can remember, as a kid of about 6, being super sick with a chest cold. My parents had to work, so my grandpa came to stay with me, and just like Perta Fork in The Princess Bride, he sat by my bed and read me stories, all the while chain smoking. I was coughing my ear off, and he was trying to comfort me while filling my room with smoke. Nobody even thought about it. Was weird in olden times. Mom probably gave me some codeine-laced cough syrup when she got home. Mom gave me a tot of brandy if the coughing was really bad. I'm sick, cough cough, see. Need brandy. I had 20 phone numbers memorized minimum. I still memorize the most important ones, and still remember the childhood ones I had memorized that were really important to me. My home. Best friend's home. Now old phone numbers can become longer pin numbers. Save memory space. Close bracket. Smart. I like it. convincing your sibling to get up to change the channel on the TV with separate dials for VHF, channels 2 to 13, and UHF, channels 14 to 51, that you also needed to whack on the side once in a while to fix the vertical stabilization. Standing on the TV wrapped in foil being the antenna, yelling to your dad on the roof, better good no better. Oh my god, yes. Dad on the roof with a walkie-talkie and me, my mom and my brother in the living room shouting. Good times. Calling someone's house and having to speak with their parent before talking with them. I was trying to explain this to my son. Also your JRK siblings picking up the other line to listen to your conversation. I was the bratty little sister in this scenario. I'm sorry bro. Coming from a brother that had a bratty little sister. He forgives you. Being on a phone call with someone using the home phone when all of a sudden someone in the house picks up another phone and tells you to get off. Better yet, party line with that one, a whole neighbor who keeps their phone off the hook so nobody else can use the damn phone. Were party lines still a thing in the 80s? My grandparents had one till the 90s. As a kid I incorrectly answered that thing so many times. It would ring differently for each family on the party line, and you had to know your ring. I was a city kid. Phone rings, you answer it. Going with your parents to Blockbuster to rent a movie and hoping a copy, VHS tape, was still available and not completely rented out. I remember the local video rental place renting out VCRs along with films because most people didn't have one at home. I was very young at the time and the practice ended shortly after as VCRs became commonplace in every home. That's how you made your copies. I'd like to rent these 8 tapes, a VCR. And also buy that 8-pack of blank tapes. Apostrophe. Then you open up both tapes and swap the spools over, giving you the high quality production tape and returning the shitty white copy tape to the store. I will preface this by saying I'm 20 years older and a much better person now. Renting a video in your friend's account BC, all Blockbuster asked for was their phone number, which was memorized BC 90s, and then failing to return it on time or at all. Usually I did this BC, there were fines on my account I didn't want to pay. I was not a well-behaved teenager. Having to put the TV on channel 3 to play video games. I still do HDMI 3. Going out into the world with no cell, a map in hand, hoping to find the new address you've never been to, and then in addition to that, hoping the people you were going to meet up would get there. If you got there and your friends weren't there, the most you could do was ask the business to lend you their phone or walk to a payphone and call your friends' house phones to see if they picked up. If they didn't, you had no way of knowing if they were late, selling you out, or dead. The concept of getting lost on a car ride is pretty much extinct now. I think about all the times I had to print out directions from MapQuest to find some place in advance. Now you can just type in an address or say something like gas stations near me and you get step-by-step directions with a meter. Which also means the trope of "are we there yet" is made an irrelevant question as the kids also have phones and can see exactly how far they have to go. When I got my first GPS, which was a brick that I connected to a pocket PC, I took it with us on a trip to Kansas City. My wife made fun of me because we'd been to KC 100 times and knew where we were going. Our normal exit was closed for construction, and the GPS guided us to a different one and through a neighborhood that we'd never been to before. My wife had a sudden realization that we only knew one route to anything in KC and would have been hopelessly lost without GPS. It was world changing. Haha. I used to work as a courier for a legal office when I was a teenager in Kansas City in the zeros. Those one-way streets used to F me up until I started just printing MapQuest directions and taping them to my steering wheel. When you were doing that, did you ever think someone's gotta make an easier way to do this one day? There being nothing on television, I watched the Weather Network for longer than I should when I was younger because it was better than soaps and sometimes nothing was on. With streaming services and even YouTube/shorter videos like TikTok, you can be watching new content 24/7. Little overwhelming. We had a local access channel that was just 3 colored horizontal bars. In the top bar, text told you the time and the temperature. In the bottom bar, Text told you the contact info for the cable company. In the middle, you could pay to have a screen of text. The movie theaters listed movie times. Restaurants listed the specials. Parents would post birthday congratulations for their kids. Weirdos would post rambling screeds about the mayor. Sometimes you'd sit through 24 screens before learning that the movie you wanted to see had already started downtown. But you'd know that Donna's granny wished her a happy 13th birthday. Wow. I just had a super deep nostalgia trip reading this. Thanks for making my day.